Welcome to Attorney 911, the podcast. With attorney Ralph Manginello, let's get some answers to the most asked questions. We break down the legal issues and provide expert advice to help you navigate life's legal challenges. You might even call us your first responder to a legal emergency. Up next, real-world cases, valuable insights, and practical tips you can use today. It's time to get smart like a lawyer.
Leo.
Ralph.
Man, it's been a long ride, brother.
It has.
I just have to introduce you real quick. We have Leo Lopez, the backbone and spirit of Attorney 911 and the Manginello Law Firm for over 20 years. He started in the personal injury field after high school and was already working at the firm that hired me at a law school. And I think, were you the first person I met or talked to when I came in? I think you were. And
pretty much.
Yeah. And we became friends right off the bat because I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And you were helping me learn the ropes of being in a law firm and handling personal injury cases. And, you know, I've told you this before to your face and to you, you're my brother. And I definitely would not be here alive without you, much less have a thriving and growing law firm and helping people not only all over Texas, but all over the United States. And so here we go, the inaugural Attorney 911 podcast with Leo Lopez, the backbone of Attorney 911 and the Manginello Law Firm. Thank you, Leo.
Thank you, Ralph. It really means a lot, and it's been a long journey. I truly do appreciate everything you've done for me and for everyone you've helped out along the way. And now I'm the one coming to you, asking you for, hey, how do you do this? How do you do that? So it's the other way around.
That's on the daily basis.
Always, man. It's been a great ride.
Let's dive right in. We're here to help people. That's the purpose of this podcast. I figured let's start off with, talking about, over the last 20 years that we've been together, what do you think, for people that have come to us, we've helped over, I think, 20,000 people and families at this point in our careers. But what is someone who's been in a car collision, they have a legal emergency, in your experience over these 20 years, what do you think they're looking for? Like right off the bat when, something happens?
Well, a lot of people that come to us, they've never experienced something like this, and they always want to know what's going to happen because they're at a time of need. They really need the legal help, the medical help, and they don't know which way to turn. So I would say to those folks that, they should right away, if they're hurt, they need to go see a doctor right away, and then call us. Call us for sure if they don't know what they're doing. Exactly.
Well, yeah, I mean, what we've had over the years, I think when people call us and they say, what do I do? And the first thing we ask them a lot of times is, have you seen a doctor yet? And you'd be surprised, right? Like a lot of people say no. And we're like,
exactly.
Well, we don't say why not because we know the answer now. But back in the day, they're like, well, why haven't you seen a doctor? And, they'll respond and say, well, I don't have health insurance, or I can't afford to take the ambulance to the hospital, or I don't know what kind of doctor I need to see. So what do you do, when somebody says that to you?
Well, they're really, really injured. They need to go ahead and go up to the emergency room. They need to get there right away. And then once they're there, get all the treatment, figure out what exactly is wrong with them. And if they need to go to someone else after that, they're still injured, hurt, they need to call us and go see your primary care doctor if you have one. Just get yourself checked out because it could be a little pain, but that little pain could turn to something really serious really quick. And you really want to make sure you get taken care of.
Yeah, I remember back, and we still do this to this day, but telling people, when you go to the hospital or your first doctor appointment, whether it's at the hospital in urgent care or your treating doctor, make sure you tell them everything that's bothering you. So even if you're your pinky's hurting, make sure you tell them, because that day, even though your pinky may not be the worst thing you're experiencing at that point, maybe down the line you have a tendon that's injured or a ligament or your hand's broken or whatever. But if you don't mention at the beginning, what ends up happening is these insurance companies come back and they tell us, representing the client, well, there's nothing mentioned in the medical records when they went to the hospital about their pinky or their foot or whatever, right?
Yeah. They have to say it. They have to say every little thing that's wrong with them, because it's going to come up and they're going to use that against them, not to, take care of that or pay them for that pain and suffering or that injury. So they really have to point out every little thing that's wrong with them.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
I think one of the big ones that people seem to miss a lot is headaches. Most of our clients that have been in a car collision, they'll say they've had ongoing headaches, and then we'll say, okay, have you talked to the doctor about it? Like, oh, well, not at the beginning, but now I am. And so again, if you don't mention it and it's not documented, it's really hard for us to fight, the insurance companies and say, oh, they've had this problem the whole time, if it's not in the medical record.
That happens a lot. It really does. And I can't think of a situation, but a particular person, but there was a couple of like teeth injuries too, man. Like some people have really bad teeth injuries because they hit their mouth on the steering wheel and stuff like that. And they can get compensated for that, and they don't know it. They think it's just a minor toothache, but it really is because of the impact they suffered in their accident.
Yeah.
Just little things like that you don't think about, come up.
Every little thing.
So most definitely, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I was trying to think about this earlier today. Do you remember, or can you remember, the first like real, legal emergency that we had to handle where, we jumped on it, we did, X, Y, and Z and made sure that, our client was taken care of way back 20 years ago?
Man, that's a long time ago. But I mean, I think there's been quite a few people that I hate to say it like this, but we had to go to the hospital because they wanted us to go up there and talk to them.
That's true.
They were injured and they didn't know, they were scared. They had no family to turn to, and they wanted us to go up there. But we've helped tons of people along the way, but I can't think of anyone in particular, a case in particular that I can say.
Yeah, I do remember,
because there's been plenty there. I remember the one that was really heartbreaking for me was the little girl that the mom, the baby and the mom died, and the dad was helping us. We had to go see grandpa, and that was heartbreaking for me. That was one of the most heartbreaking things. She was hit by someone who was fleeing from the cops and was intoxicated, and it was hard to get recovery for them. But I remember us really strapping on our boots and going to work, trying to figure out who can we go after, investigating every little detail of the accident. And
that was a tough one.
Unfortunately, it was a tough one.
You made me think of that. It's terrible to talk about, but remember the baby that got her feet got burned because in the apartment complex the hot water heater was set too high, and hot water heater was like,
she needed skin grafts.
25 years old, and they didn't maintain it. That was terrible, but
that was horrible.
I remember we had to we visited her and her family in the hospital too.
Yeah.
Anyways,
and it was a lot of legwork, and again, there was no return of that in any of those cases, really, that we could tell the family, hey, this is a great because it's it's never enough.
Of course not.
It's never going to be enough. I mean, but it was satisfying to know that we digged up every little inch. To find out what can we do for
and the little girl that got unfortunately got burned by that scalding hot water, we didn't get a good recovery enough to where in an annuity over time, because she was only like 2 or 3.
Yeah.
It was going to turn into like think it was going to turn into like $13 million by the time she was of time to go to college and stuff, and she was going to have enough to have some reconstructive surgery and stuff. But yeah, that was
those are serious cases. And then there's also the ones that are not too serious that just, we can't. I remember one in particular was a new caller, and this is kind of funny because he wanted to sue or go after the parking lot people in the Galleria.
Oh, I remember that one.
He was walking around and he wasn't paying attention. He ran into a pole. I'm like, yeah.
And I remember you were like, what is he asking for? I was like, I think he wants to sue the Galleria. And we were like, for what? He's like, because you weren't looking where you were going.
Well, it's freaking.
Hey, you know what? You bring up a good point. And I think everyone needs to know this because plaintiffs' lawyers sometimes have a bad reputation that we'll just sue anybody for anything, and we're greedy, and we're this and we're that. And I have no doubt there are lawyers like that. But we've turned down, out of the 20,000 we've probably turned down 100,000 for cases that, someone's like, yeah, I got in a wreck, but really only my car was damaged. I'm not hurt. And then we say, well, we don't take property damages cases, but we do have a lawyer that we know, and we'll refer them to somebody that we know that does that. But we're not taking a case to make up some injuries that someone doesn't have. And like for that case, there may have been a lawyer that sued the Galleria because the guy walked into the pole, but that's just not what we do. We're here to help people.
Well, it wasn't us.
It wasn't us. Right.
Yeah.
Well, the whole point is, the whole ambulance chasing thing and, lawyers doing whatever they can to make money. I get that. There's probably are tons of those. I don't personally know any, but, I'm glad that, and the people can look on Google at our reviews. We have, I think we reached 200 today, actually. Congratulations.
That's awesome.
Awesome. Because we just started doing those in the last year or so. But anyway, our reviews are really good to say we care about people, we help people. And so that's the reputation we want. That's the reputation we have. And again, thanks to you because, you're the face of the franchise, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, I couldn't do this without our team either. I mean, I think we got a great team.
We do.
That's helping us out a lot now.
We do have a great team.
But we've been doing it for a long time. And it's been a run, man.
I know. I think
it's freaking
just any entrepreneurial people out there may understand that when it's a law firm and we help you, but it's also a business. And I know that over the 20 years, but the roller coaster ride of, having success and then, you still have to make things happen and have the phone ring and be lucky to last. I think we're in our 24th year of being open.
Yeah.
But to have that long of a run and the ups and downs of, when are we going to get another case in the door? And then all of a sudden, you have tons of cases, which is great.
Tons of cases coming.
But, again, we always just focus on, and we continue to focus on helping people, which is great. What was the other thing I was going to ask you is, we've envisioned, when you and I started talking about Attorney 911 and how, the 911 being in that place just signaled to people, if you have a legal emergency or a car collision, then, we're here to help. Tell me or tell everyone your story from, from your perspective from the beginning when you were like, when I called you and I was like, hey man, because you worked at that first firm with me and I opened this firm and I called you. I was like, I really want you to come work for me. And tell me what that was like. Try everybody with it.
It was. It's always scary to start a new adventure, in your life. There's uncertainty sometimes, but the thing that gave me the confidence was you've always been a positive person, and I really see a lot of heart in you. Like you've never given up, and you've been through a lot. A lot of folks don't know you like I do, but you've helped a lot of people without anything in return sometimes. And that right there says a lot of a person. And it just made me get on board and say, yeah, let's do this. Um, and again, I see your family like my family. Um, and just, knowing that you got my back and I got yours, and we're helping these people out all the time.
Yeah, I
It's been
mean,
great.
I think that's why we've always worked really well together over this time period is we see that same thing in that, like, it's kind of our purpose to help, you know what I mean? And we've helped, like you said, and you for sure have helped so many people without, we knew we weren't going to get paid. We knew it was going to
Yeah.
take time. We knew it was going to take effort, but it's just the right thing to do. And sometimes, we're so busy. When you get that call and it's like, Ralph, man, I really got to help this person out. We're not going to take their case. And I'm like, yeah, of course. Like, of course you got to help them. And then
you got to help them. Yeah, there's been plenty of those. But what's satisfying is you help them out, and some of them just, they really, really appreciate it a lot. And I mean, they're so grateful, and they end up, sending their family to us, because that's just the trust, they gave us. And like, what they did good on for me, then they're going to do good for my family too. So that's basically how we've always been, not knowing. And sometimes you're right. Sometimes I'm like, why did you take that case? Well, we got to help them out, Leo. Yeah. Okay. I get it, Ralph. Let's do it.
It's true though.
Even though we're busy, I mean, we're out there. If you're going to be an attorney, you got to take some of those cases that you help people out where sometimes no return, and they're very grateful for it.
I remember talking to you about that. We still talk about it to this day, but talking about that in the very beginning was treat everyone like they're our family, because that's how you would want to be treated. You're like, absolutely. And you're like, absolutely. So, I know you have to deal with it too, because now we have hundreds and hundreds of cases, but it's like when we get calls that, someone's like, oh, well, I didn't get, my doctor canceled on me and I didn't get a new appointment or whatever. And then, whatever the issue is, we're like, okay, we stop what we're doing to make sure that they feel taken care of. And I just feel like, that's just so important. I don't know. Again, we don't have time to know what other firms do, which is, I guess, a good thing. But, I know, again, based on our Google reviews and the people that get referred to us by their friends and family, they're like, y'all just treated us like family. And I know that, that's like a core thing about you that I really love. And you've always been there for me. You've always been my family, and I appreciate it. But, we do that. The thing is, we do it for we can't help everybody, but we try. If we can't handle it, we're going to refer you to a lawyer that does handle it.
Absolutely. We can't do it. We're going to give you someone that's got the experience, that knows what they're doing, and going to take care of you. At the end of the day, that's all that counts. And if they can't help you out, at least the answer why they couldn't help you out. Some of them do tell them, some of them don't.
So one thing I wanted to make sure we did on our first ever Attorney 911 podcast is send some shout outs to current and former clients that are like family, that we've just known for years and years and years. We've helped them. We've helped their family members. We've helped their friends. Daryl Strong.
Yeah.
Daryl Strong, actually, such a great guy. I guess known him for 25 years, because one of the first cases I ever had, he came to the office and met with me, and we started talking about his uncle's Willie Nelson. I don't know how we got onto that. And I'm like, oh my God, I love Willie Nelson. He's like, oh, that's my uncle. I was like, no way. He's like, oh yeah, if you ever want to go to Lopez concerts. And I was like, I would love to go to those. Anyway, he's on myself. I talk to Daryl probably once or twice a year, just random. Like, he'll ask me, hey, you've been fishing, or, how are you doing? I check on his kids. I've known his kids since they were tiny, represented his daughter in a car collision like a year or two ago, represented his wife, his cousin. I mean, he's just an awesome guy. Jerry Wyatt Sr.,
Jerry White,
a family friend,
Yeah, Jerry White. Yeah, he's a great guy. He's actually done a lot for his community too.
He
started out
was
there
a
Fort Vanderbilt.
city councilman for Missouri City for like 30 something years. Awesome guy. I've represented him and his family for different stuff. And he calls me and we talk. He's a great historian as well. David Monjadas, Adam Mena. I mean,
there's Corey Jackson. Cool guy.
We just anyway, so many people that we have to thank on our inaugural podcast to say thank you for trusting us to help you. And then again, thank you for trusting us to help your family and friends throughout the 20 years.
Most definitely. Thank you very much for all the years of referring your family to us. And we hope that if they ever need something in the future, just give us a call. I mean, it doesn't hurt to ask a question if you don't know the answer to it.
Exactly. And so for future podcasts, we're going to have legal emergency, immigration attorney, legal emergency bankruptcy, legal emergency family law, and we're going to have a bunch of other topics. We're going to have a food critic from Houston Chronicle on to tell you where you need to eat after your legal emergency, where lawyers go to eat. We're going to have a social media influencer person. We're going to have golf pros. We're going to have all kinds of guests, financial advisors. So tune in, subscribe. It's Attorney 911. This is the new podcast. We sure do appreciate you tuning in today. And thank you for 20 plus years of support. And again, Leo, I love you, man. And thank you for everything you've ever done to me.
Love you too, man.
You just learned something new. Attorney 911, the podcast, with attorney Ralph Manginello. We hope you found today's conversation insightful and helpful. Don't forget to subscribe to the show so you'll never miss an episode, and share it with family and friends who might benefit from the things we talk about. A new podcast launches every week. That means you get more legal tips, real-life cases, and expert advice. This is Attorney 911, the podcast.